Once upon a time, there was a school deep in the forest, a place no one dared to visit after it had been abandoned for many years. The children who once studied there had now grown up, but the story of the school remained a whispered legend among the locals. It was said that after a horrifying accident during the last day of school, the building became a dwelling for lost souls. On a gloomy afternoon, a group of brave young friends decided to explore the abandoned school. As they arrived, an eerie chill enveloped the air, making them feel as if unseen eyes were watching them. The group exchanged nervous glances, their hearts pounding at the sight of the decaying school. The rusted gate creaked open ominously, almost like a sinister invitation. "Let's go in, unless you're scared." Min, the boldest of them, smirked, though his voice trembled slightly. Their footsteps echoed on the rotten wooden floor, and the wind whistling through the broken windows sounded like ghostly whispers. As the group stepped inside the campus, they saw that the classrooms remained intact, though thick dust and the musty smell of dampness filled the air. The old desks and shattered chairs lay scattered across the floor. On the blackboard, faint traces of writing still lingered, as if someone had written them but never erased. Their footsteps echoed in the silence as the group froze upon hearing a faint click-clack sound from the hallway. They exchanged uneasy glances, and one of them Min stepped forward to investigate. When he entered another classroom, he spotted a wooden desk placed oddly in the center of the room, with a chair positioned neatly beside it. Suddenly, the chair began rocking ever so slightly, even though no one had touched it. When Min turned back to call the others, a scream echoed from the hallway. They all rushed toward the sound only to find the silhouette of a little girl in an old-school uniform standing motionless in the corner. Her eyes were hollow, her face deathly pale. She didn't utter a word, just stood there, her hands icy cold, as if waiting for something. Suddenly, strange noises began echoing from all directions, giggles, hurried footsteps, and indistinct whispers. They could feel unseen presences surrounding them, though nothing was clearly visible. The lone light bulb in the hallway started flickering, and the air grew suffocatingly thick. When they turned to leave, the main door suddenly slammed shut behind them. Outside, the sky had turned pitch black, with only a dim moonlight filtering through the gnarled branches. Faint sighs and ghostly laughter echoed from within the school, making them feel trapped. The specters of former students began to materialize not as solid figures, but as restless spirits, their hollow eyes pleading for release. The group had no choice but to desperately search for an escape, but the school had no intention of letting them go. Every step they took was thwarted by lingering spirits, shifting doorways, and endless corridors that coiled in on themselves. One thing became chillingly clear: this school would never let them leave. In the end, one of them found a door leading outside, but the moment they touched it, a thick mist coiled around their bodies. Just before they could escape, a final whisper slithered into their ears. "We never left." The whispers reverberated through their minds, as if someone was speaking right beside their ears. Yet when they turned, it was nothing but impenetrable darkness. Toy-Tight, the smallest and most fragile of the group, began showing signs of panic. Her hands trembled violently as she whispered in a broken voice, "I see someone, ... no ... not human. Its face is torn apart, ... and it has no eyes." The group quickly tried to calm each other, struggling to maintain their composure. Min, their de facto leader, pushed his fear aside and declared with forced steadiness, "We need to get to the teacher's lounge. If there's any record of what happened here, that's where it'll be." The teacher's lounge sat at the end of a rear hallway where light barely penetrated. When they forced open the door, the room was swallowed by viscous darkness. A nauseating mix of mildew and the metallic temps of something long decayed assaulted. Their senses, scattered across the desks, were old logbooks, some torn to shreds, others eerily preserved. Nom, the most curious of them, flipped open a gradebook. Student names had been violently crossed out in red, as if someone had tried to erase them from existence itself. In the corner, a locked drawer caught their attention. Min found a rusted key in another cabinet, and when he turned its thud, a journal tumbled out. The journal belonged to the missing headmistress, the woman who'd vanished during the accident years ago. The pages reeked of sweat-stained panic, the handwriting growing increasingly frantic. The final entry made their blood freeze. "I hear footsteps at night, students calling my name from the dark hallways. I know ... I did something unforgivable. They won't forgive, they never forget." Just as they finished reading, bang, the door slammed shut behind them. The room trembled. Then, in slow, dripping strokes, words began appearing on the walls in fresh blood. Game start. The teacher's lounge door wouldn't budge, locked tight as if sealed by unseen hands. Forced to find another exit, they retreated into the main hallway, now plunged into inky blackness. Their phone lights cast feeble beams that only made the darkness feel more oppressive. One by one, the framed pictures along the walls began crashing down behind them, each impact shaking the floor. Thud, 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 as if something massive was stalking them in the dark. Then Two-Eyed spotted it, a door with a book emblem. "The library," she whispered, her voice thin with desperate hope. "Maybe there's records about the accident there, or something else." The moment they crossed the threshold, the air changed, growing so cold their breath fogged, so heavy it pressed against their skin like a living thing. The shelves stood crooked, their books all turned spiningward, as if hiding their contents, and in the far corner, a book suddenly thumped to the floor, too sharply to be accidental. Nam reached for it, but the moment his fingers brushed the cover, a jolt of numbing cold shot up his arm like electric frost. The title glared up in tarnished gold, "Registry of the Nameless Dead." Inside, meticulously documented student and teacher profiles filled every page, each marked with cause of death: missing, asphyxiation, fell from 3rd floor. Then they saw it. Tuit's school photo stared back from the page, her listed death date. "Tonight, I am alive," she sobbed, stumbling backward. "Look at me, touch me." But as the words left her lips, an icy gust flipped the pages on its own, landing on a new entry. There they were, their current group photo, taken right now in this library. Asterisk. Asterisk. The sound of slow, deliberate footsteps echoed from the library's upper floor. Min swung his flashlight upward. Girl in a tattered white outhide drifted across the landing. No sound, no breath, just there, then gone. They chased after her, bursting through an already open door into a small reading room. A massive cracked mirror dominated the far wall. Their reflections weren't theirs anymore. Twisted doppelgangers stared back, faces slashed open, eyes rolled white, skin glistening with fresh blood, not memories. Twite collapsed to her knees, her entire body trembling like a leaf in a storm. "We never should have come." Her voice shattered into a whisper. "This place remembers every death that ever happened here." A choked sob escaped her throat as she clutched at her own arms, nails digging into flesh. "And it won't let any of us leave alive." The moment the words left her lips, the cracked mirror behind them groaned, a hairline fracture splitting their bloody reflections clean in half. Somewhere in the darkness, a school bell began to toll, not the bright chime of daytime, but the slow, hollow knell of a funeral dirge. They fled the library, stumbling down a rear staircase that led to what was once the science wing. A broken sign dangled crookedly, its remaining letters spelling Chem Lab. The air here was thicker, cloying. The acrid stench of spilled chemicals still burned their nostrils after all these years, though no one had touched a beaker in decades. Glass crunched underfoot as they entered, shattered test tubes, overturned flasks. Then a sheck sound from above. Something slithered across the ceiling. Min's flashlight beam jerked upward. A human head dangled from the pipes. No body, just wide, unblinking eyes. Nam's hand brushed against an intact glass, only to recoil in horror. Inside, floating in murky preservative, a severed human hand. The label, yellowed with age, read in precise script: "Specimen from Class 9A, 1982, student Levon High." Then the walls began to weep. Not stains, not rust, actual blood. Thick droplets oozed down the tiles as children's laughter bubbled up from nowhere. Giggles warped into something wrong, as if rising through layers of earth from hell itself. After fleeing the lab, the group moved in heavy silence. No more false reassurances. Age was now locked in a private battle with their own terror. They passed a set of double doors leading to the gymnasium, once vibrant with opening ceremonies and basketball games, alive with cheers and laughter. Now just a gaping maw of darkness. Then the doors creaked open on their own. An invitation, a challenge. The moment they stepped inside, an impossible sight froze them in place. Hundreds of plastic chairs stood in perfect rows, all facing a makeshift stage. At center stage, a straw effigy in a faded school uniform sat slumped in a chair, its burlap face stitched into a rictus grin. No one dared ask how long it had been waiting there. Then dash snapped out. Overhead lights flared to life, not their flashlights, but the gym's own rusted fixtures, impossible after decades without power. A crackling PA system hissed to life, and a voice that wasn't quite human boomed, "Welcome back, students." Static distorted the next words into a guttural whisper. "Everyone gets a role in the final performance." The chairs began trembling violently, then toppled like dominoes in a chaotic wave. Shadowy figures materialized in the bleachers, their forms wispy as smoke, but with distinct faces, hollow eyes, all fixed on the group. Min roared, "Run!" but to its legs locked mid-step. An unseen force yanked her backward, her body skidding across the floor toward the stage. Her screams came out strangled, as if hands were already around her throat. The group lunged, grabbing her arms just as the straw effigy collapsed. It shattered like a rotten pumpkin, spilling its condenser human skull, yellowed, cracked, still grinning. Only 3 of them remained coherent after the gymnasium horror. Two-eyed had slipped